Okay, strap in, because you've sent us down a rabbit hole this time. A deep dive into UAPs.
Oh, yeah.
And not just any UAPs,
Right.
but a deep dive into a collection of anonymous 4chan posts claiming to be from some kind of insider.
Yeah, and while we always approach, anonymous claims with a healthy dose of skepticism,
Yeah.
these posts are just brimming with specific details about a secret underwater construction facility, the UAPs themselves,
Wow.
even the beings behind it all.
Yeah, it's not just your typical blurry lights in the sky stuff.
Right.
This insider goes into detail about the facility's layout, the tech, the government's response.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's a lot.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Where do
Okay.
we even start with all of this?
So the core claim is that most UFOs, or UAPs as they're officially known, are actually unmanned drones.
Oh.
And get this, they're built by a massive mobile underwater construction facility.
Wow.
This thing has allegedly been operational for over a century?
A century. Okay, now that's a detail that makes you stop and think.
Right.
What kind of technology would even allow for a mobile underwater construction facility of that scale?
Right.
And if it's been running for a century, what have they accomplished in that time?
Exactly. And the insider claims this facility is entirely AI-driven.
Oh, wow.
Just imagine a fully automated facility
Yeah.
churning out advanced tech,
Yeah.
all underwater.
Wow.
It's mind-blowing.
And the government knows about this.
They do.
Okay.
The posts claim the U.S. government has tried to get close, but it hasn't been easy.
Right.
This facility is armed, allegedly, with a weapon that can destroy matter, whatever that means.
What does it even mean?
One pilot even lost contact during an approach,
Oh,
which is, well, chilling.
yeah, that's scary.
Yeah.
And this facility, it has a specific look, right?
It does, yeah. The
Okay.
insider describes it as burger-shaped,
Burger shape.
which sounds bizarre,
Yeah.
but they're very specific about it.
Sure.
Apparently, it's this massive cylindrical structure.
Okay.
It stays submerged in the Atlantic Ocean.
So it's like an underwater factory
Yeah.
churning out these UAPs for what? Surveillance?
Yeah.
Intimidation?
All of the above, it seems.
Okay.
The insider emphasizes that the UAPs aren't one-size-fits-all.
Right.
They're tailored for each deployment,
Okay,
explaining why there are so many different shapes and sizes reported
Yeah,
dig techs.
yeah.
Orbs, discs, even cigar-shaped craft.
We've all seen the videos.
Yeah.
The strange movements, the impossible speeds.
Right.
How do they explain that?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
They claim the UAPs are powered by Element 115.
Element 1 of 15, that rings a bell.
Right. Bob Lazar talked about Element 115 powering UFOs back in the 80s.
Right?
It sounded outlandish then,
Yeah.
but what's fascinating is that Element 115 is a hypothetical element.
Okay.
It hasn't been synthesized in a lab yet,
Right.
at least not publicly.
Right.
So is this a glimpse into a more advanced understanding of physics?
Okay, so they're using this Element 115. How?
The insider says it generates its own gravity field,
Oh, wow.
which is how these craft achieve their incredible speeds and maneuverability.
Hmm.
If they can manipulate gravity, it would explain a lot.
Yeah.
Imagine the possibilities.
It's bending our understanding of physics.
It certainly makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And if this insider is right,
Yeah.
it means the U.S. government might actually have their hands on some of this technology.
Oh.
Potentially even Element 115 itself from recovered UAP crashes.
They're keeping that quiet.
Well, the insider claims that the government, specifically the Air Force, is frustrated.
Okay.
They've recovered materials,
Right.
but they're struggling to understand it.
Okay.
It's like piecing together an impossible puzzle.
Right.
And according to the posts, the USAF is being kept in the dark about certain aspects of the whole thing.
Who's doing the keeping in the dark then?
Right.
And why?
That's a great question, and it gets to the heart of all the secrecy surrounding UAPs. It also seems like we're not alone in this.
Okay.
The insider claims Russia and China are aware of the facility too,
Really?
and may have even acquired some of this advanced technology.
So it's like a global race to unlock the secrets of this technology.
It certainly seems that way.
Wow.
But there's another layer to this.
Okay.
The beings behind it all.
Right. Right.
The insider describes them as humanoid,
Okay.
but smaller than humans,
Okay.
with this very specific detail about them having holes for ears.
Holes for ears. That's a detail that sticks with you.
It does.
What could that even mean?
Right? It makes you wonder about their sensory perception, their evolution,
Oh.
everything.
Yeah.
But they're not hanging out having tea parties.
Right.
There's a chilling detail in the post about bodies being removed from crashed UAPs before recovery teams arrive.
Oh, really?
Like someone's cleaning up the scene?
So not exactly the friendly, welcoming extraterrestrials we see in movies?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
The insider claims they aren't hostile unless cornered. They seem more interested in observation resource gathering.
Yeah.
They even talk about them mining for gold.
They're mining gold. Why gold?
It's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Is it for its conductive properties?
Right.
Or do they have a completely different use for it that we haven't even conceived of?
It's like we're back in the age of exploration.
Yeah.
But instead of uncharted territories,
Right.
it's the unknown reaches of technology and,
Yeah.
well, aliens.
A whole new frontier.
Right.
And one we're just beginning to understand.
Yeah.
But let's get back to these posts.
Okay.
We've got this advanced underwater facility, potentially centuries old,
Right.
pumping out custom UAPs.
Right.
It's almost too much to process.
I know, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Right. And we haven't even touched on the how of it all yet.
Yeah.
How are they building these things? What's the process?
Well, thankfully, our insider provided some insight into that as well.
Okay.
They described the operation as incredibly organized,
Yeah.
with dedicated systems for interacting with the UAPs,
Right.
specialized tools.
Wow.
They even repurpose materials from crashed craft.
So they're recycling.
Yeah, essentially.
Surprisingly responsible.
It speaks to a certain level of efficiency and resource management
Right.
that's pretty impressive, even if it is a bit unnerving considering the source.
Okay, so walk me through it. They recover a crashed UAP, then what?
The insider breaks it down into a 4-step process.
Okay.
The first team handles the initial discovery
Right.
and, chillingly, any occupants.
Okay.
What's even more intriguing is that they mention this team has to meet with an external member.
An external member.
Yeah.
Who could that be?
Exactly. It suggests there's another layer of authority here, maybe another agency, another government even, who knows.
Right.
But they seem to be calling the shots.
Wow.
And get this, the first team isn't allowed to touch or examine anything at the crash site.
Right not.
All right.
Too dangerous.
That's the prevailing theory.
Okay.
Safety concerns, potential contamination, who knows.
Yeah.
But their main priority seems to be securing that element 115.
Okay.
After that initial assessment,
Right.
a second team goes in looking for specific tools and components they can extract.
So they're like archaeologists, carefully excavating an ancient tomb,
Yeah.
except it's a crashed spaceship.
It's a pretty apt comparison.
Yeah.
They meticulously catalog and remove anything that might help them understand how these UAPs work.
Right.
And then teams 3 and 4 arrive to essentially erase any trace of the crash.
Wow.
The craft, the debris, it's all completely removed.
Talk about a cover-up.
Right.
Why go to such lengths if these are just weather balloons and misidentified airplanes? Right?
It really makes you question the official narrative, doesn't it?
It does.
Clearly, there's a tremendous effort to keep this technology under wraps.
Speaking of the tech,
Yeah.
they haven't exactly cracked the code on element 115, have they?
No, not quite. The insider claims they've tried to reproduce it,
Okay.
but the best they've managed is a shitty variant that they use for some parts.
Shitty variant. It's not exactly a ringing endorsement of our scientific prowess, is it?
It does highlight the sheer advancement of this technology.
Right.
We're essentially trying to reverse engineer something that's potentially light years ahead of our current understanding.
So we've got this super advanced technology, a secretive recovery operation.
Right.
And then there are the beings behind it all.
Right.
What more can you tell us about them?
Well, according to these posts, they're primarily focused on observation and resource gathering. They're not exactly looking for a chat and a cup of tea,
Right.
but they don't seem hell-bent on conquering Earth either.
That's somewhat reassuring.
A little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
They seem particularly interested in our nuclear activities.
Right.
Anytime something nuclear-related occurs, like
Right.
tests or accidents,
Right.
UAP activity spikes.
Hmm.
They're watching.
So they're concerned about our nukes.
Possibly, yeah.
Maybe they are trying to protect us from ourselves after all.
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
Or perhaps they see it as a benchmark of our technological capabilities.
Right.
Like a cosmic report card. Can handle dangerous tolls yet.
Right.
Nope, not yet.
And the abductions.
Yeah.
They don't shy away from that, do they?
No, the insider talks about those quite openly,
Okay.
claiming they're mostly for scientific purposes.
Right.
But the way they describe the abduction process is unsettling.
Okay.
They have tools, apparently,
Right.
that can induce a childlike state in their subjects.
Wait, what? Like mind control.
It seems that way.
Oh, wow.
They essentially wipe the abductees' memories, making them more compliant.
Right.
And the insider says they've seen the after effects firsthand.
Right.
People left confused, disoriented, with no recollection of the event.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
It makes them seem so much more predatory.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It adds a layer of complexity to the whole are they good or bad debate, that's for sure.
Right.
And according to these posts, the abductions haven't stopped.
Really?
The insider claims they still happen.
Wow.
Mostly in areas with contamination or disease.
Contamination or disease.
Yeah.
Like Chernobyl or...
Exactly.
Wow.
It suggests they have an interest in studying our biology, especially how we react to environmental stressors or pandemics.
Right.
Maybe they're looking for specific genetic material,
Yeah.
or perhaps they're assessing our vulnerabilities.
It's a disturbing thought, being treated like lab rats in some grand experiment.
It does make you feel a bit like we're being studied under a microscope, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
And if that wasn't enough to rattle you,
Right.
the insider even says that they don't believe in God anymore after seeing all of this.
I can't say I blame them
Right.
to look into the face of the unknown like that.
Hmm.
It would challenge anyone's beliefs.
Yeah, it really throws a wrench into our understanding of our place in the universe, doesn't it?
Right.
I mean, if this is all true, it means, well, what does it mean?
Exactly. And that's what makes these posts so fascinating and
Right.
so frustrating at the same time.
We're left grappling with more questions than answers. So here we are, facing the unknown.
It's a lot.
We've got this advanced AI-driven facility cranking out UAPs, these beings observing our every move,
Right.
and the government scrambling to understand it all.
Yeah.
It's a lot to unpack.
It really highlights how much we don't know, doesn't it?
Right.
And it throws up more questions than answers.
Right.
Like, are these beings ultimately benevolent or malevolent?
Why
Are they a threat or are they
Wow.
just indifferent?
That's what gets me. The insider seems to lean toward indifference. Like,
Yeah.
we're just ants under a microscope.
Right. There's that recurring analogy to a zoo
Right.
where the exhibit going about our little routines
Right.
completely unaware of the observers.
Well, it's humbling, to say the least.
Makes you wonder what they think of our reality shows and political debates.
Right.
But seriously, what are they waiting for?
Yeah.
The insider mentions maturity.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to evolve more as a species before they make contact?
It's a fascinating theory.
Yeah.
Imagine if they're looking at our technological progress, our social structures,
Right.
our capacity for peace or destruction as markers.
Okay.
Or maybe, just maybe, they're waiting for something else entirely, something we can't even fathom with our current understanding.
It's like that saying to an ant, a puddle after the rain is an ocean.
Right.
We could be missing the bigger picture entirely.
Exactly.
Wow.
And think about the implications for our perception of time.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
If these beings have been around for centuries, millennia even, their concept of time must be vastly different from ours.
Wow.
What seems like eons to us might be a blip on their radar.
So all this frantic scrambling, all our worries, it could be meaningless to them.
It really puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
It does.
Maybe their motives are far more complex, far grander than we can currently grasp.
Right.
But let's talk about the human element in all of this.
Okay.
The insider mentions how this knowledge has impacted them personally.
Right.
Their faith, their sense of isolation. It's
Yeah.
heavy stuff.
To be confronted with something so profoundly unknown, so paradigm shifting,
Yeah.
I can only imagine the toll it takes.
It speaks to the psychological weight of this kind of knowledge.
Right.
It's not just the information itself, it's the existential questions it raises.
Right.
Where do we fit in?
Yeah.
What does it all mean?
And if this insider is telling the truth, they're not alone in carrying this burden.
Right.
They talk about a whole network of people who know,
Right.
who are bound by secrecy.
Yeah.
It's like a shadow world operating just beneath the surface of everything we know.
It's a lot like those Cold War spy thrillers.
Right.
Except instead of nuclear secrets, it's knowledge that could redefine our understanding of, well, everything.
Right. Wow.
It makes you wonder, what else is out there?
Exactly. And that brings us to perhaps the biggest question of all.
Yeah.
What happens next?
Right.
Are we on the verge of disclosure,
Right.
of the government finally revealing what they know,
Right.
or will we continue down this path of secrecy and speculation?
It's the ultimate cliffhanger, isn't it?
Yeah.
But no matter what the future holds, one thing's for sure, These posts have ripped open a Pandora's box.
Right.
They've forced us to confront the unknown
Yeah.
and reevaluate our place in the universe.
It's a reminder that we're not at the center of everything,
Yeah.
that there are forces at play we might never fully understand.
And perhaps that's the most important takeaway from all of this.
Okay.
Not the specifics of the facility or the UAPs themselves, but the sense of wonder it ignites.
Right.
The realization that we're part of something much bigger,
Yeah.
much more mysterious than we could have imagined.
It's humbling and exciting all at the same time.
It is.
Who knows what we'll discover next?
That's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Right.
There's always more to learn, more to explore.
Right.
And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder the possibilities. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the unknown